Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining the Talk Shop Show with Erica Aguilar, the Senior Vice President of Complete CU Services, and myself, Pierre-Jean Galland, the CEO of Complete CU Services. Today, as usual, we have a very, very interesting guest, Matt McGuire from the AML shop, a terrific personality as well as a great professional. Is there presently any type of consortium or different ACAMs, somebody that's discussing this internationally? Because being from a older generation, it's hard for me to understand how that works, because usually it's based on the economies of the country that you're purchasing.
Yeah, right.
Discussions going on, a world forum.
Yeah, the world is catching up. There's the Financial Action Task Force has kind of been leading it from an anti-money laundering perspective, and it's created a set of standards that countries are meant to adhere to, including the travel rule, which is a traditional anti-money laundering rule about what information must be passed along with transactions to keep that investigative trail intact. So there are international standard setters trying to attack this and trying to create a level playing field and make sure that there's no weak points in the fence.
For those CAMLOs out there, regardless of the size of the institution, but what would be the main thing that you would tell them to focus on?
Would you forgive me three?
Pardon me?
Would you forgive me three things instead of just one? Could I tell you three things?
I'll give you as many as you want.
That's very kind. Okay, listen, the first thing for sure is technology. It's next to impossible to do all the things you need to do in anti-money laundering today at a credit union without some technology in place. Unless you're willing to commit to extensive manual processes. Number two is ongoing monitoring. FINTRAC's examinations are all focused now on ongoing monitoring. How are you keeping track of your clients and their transactions, and whether or not you've captured all the suspicious, and whether or not you're keeping their information up to date in a reasonable and documented way. And number three is suspicious transaction reporting. If you've reported no suspicious transactions, then you have recorded too few suspicious transactions. That doesn't mean report them for the sake of reporting, but if you've reported them, I assure you, you've missed something. There's something there. Whether these transactions are electronic behind the scenes that you're not noticing, whether it's because of a training story, there are suspicious transactions in your population. That's borne out time and time again.
So lastly, in terms of the AML shop, you offer different services. What are the main activities that you do at the AML shop?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. Well, listen, we help refine policies and procedures. We do risk assessments, which is really important today. Not just doing the risk assessment, but increasing the maturity level of risk assessments, right? So, what was acceptable 10 years ago and 5 years ago isn't what FINTRAC is looking for today. Together with that, we tune systems, right? So I mentioned technology is essential. It's really important that you take that risk assessment and line it up with the technology you're using. There are ways with Verifin and Navera to make it do most of the grunt work. And that's the way I think things should be lined up. We do compliance effectiveness reviews, so looking once every 2 years at what's going on. And we try to model our examinations loosely after what FINTRAC does, so that there are no surprises when FINTRAC comes through the door. And then finally, we have outsourcing. So for about 10-15% of the credit unions in the country, we provide an outsourced anti-money laundering service where we take over the policies and procedures and risk assessment and training and monitoring and reporting of transactions on a day-to-day basis, so that they can focus on serving their members.
That's amazing. You also give training?
Yeah. The training we give is very much bespoke training. So whereas there's Q-Source, there's CU training, there's some great training packages out there that are kind of off the shelf. we normally get involved when specialized training is involved. So we help to train boards. We help, a credit union recently, really forward-looking, decided that instead of once a year training a deck, they wanted 15-minute burst training every month to keep their members fresh, and that's the sort of thing we do there.
Thank you very much, Matt, for being with us today and for this series as well. Really appreciate it, and really enjoyed having all that information. I'm sure it's going to serve to a lot of CAMLOs, and it's always very interesting talking to you.
Same here. I really appreciate you having me, and thanks for putting on this set of programs.
Thank you very much, everybody who is tuning in. Thank you for all your messages and your questions, and you know where you can reach McGuire and the AML shop. All his information, his coordinates, is going to be listed on the post, and you can always check their website to see where they are at, and or communicate with us, Pierre-Jean Galan or Erica Aguilar, if you want any more details of any part of this interview. Thank you.